you have come to the place where you can learn to harness the power of intention, to create subconscious beliefs that serve you, and to gain insights that allow you to create a life, personally and professionally, that you desire. This is the place where you leverage your subconscious mind and design your destiny. Join me now, your host, Penny Chason. Hey out there, all of my people. This is Penny with Design Your Destiny podcast. I have a special guest with me today. She has done amazing things with subconscious reprogramming, and it all comes about because of her story. I mean, Lynn Louise spent decades figuring out how to heal from a past trauma, which she's going to share with us today. And she finally dove into the deep end, and she now knows what works. And it's her dharma to share this information and knowledge with you, with her people, to help you transform your life. She gives you the ability to create from possibilities, not limitations, so you can step into your deeper purpose and create a life of love and abundance. So welcome, Lynn.
Bingo.
Bingo. Oh, and just to share, she's a Georgia girl who lives up north now. Huh?
Go dogs. Go dogs. Go dogs.
Yeah. Well, let's go dogs here in Mississippi too, but we're talking two separate teams. So why don't you share with everyone a little bit about who you are, what you're doing, and just kind of dive right in and tell your story, because you're very good at it. And I don't feel that you need me to lead you through that. So
Sure.
Take the floor.
So first, I'm Lynn Louise. I am the Cosmic Valkyrie. That's what I go by. I love it. I'm super cosmic, so we'll probably go deep in this. But my dharma in life, like you said, is to help others or women let go of past trauma so that they can step more deeply into their higher purpose and manifest the life that they came here to live. And, they deserve it. So I don't want anyone struggling any longer than they have to. That's really my purpose in this life. And I found my path through a very long journey, but it's not a long story. When I was 15, I was sexually assaulted by an upperclassman and a friend I thought was a friend. And that night, my self-trust ran away with my voice. And I started listening to what other people thought were best for me because, I told myself on a subconscious level, I can't trust myself because I was the one that made the decision to get in the car to begin with. The truth is, we all know that it was not my fault, but that's not what my subconscious was telling me. And back then, and just like in today's society, when you are sexually assaulted by somebody that you know and you trust, you tend to question everything about who you are or what happened. And so for many years, probably 5 years after that, I just kept everything locked down. And I didn't talk to people about it. I just processed things the way they did.
I love that. I have fur babies. I hear your fur baby in the background. We're just going to leave that there because we're human. It's COVID. It's lockdown. You're doing this from home. I'm doing this from my isolated office because I don't want to hear roosters crowing. So I apologize. Continue.
Yes, I was like, oh my God, what did you know? Like we get right into the meat and all of a sudden my dog jumps up. I was going to be like, oh, let's do a little housekeeping. Yeah. So anyway, for about 5 years, I was just doing this alone. And let's all be honest, at 15, I'm not an adult and I didn't process things like an adult. But as I got into my 20s, I started falling into suicidal behaviors and tendencies. I would go into therapy. I'd be on antidepressants. I tried that route. And for decades, I would leave. And it was like, this is it. Like, this is good enough. I don't ever feel good. I don't ever feel happy. I'll be okay for a couple years, but we know Lynn Louise is going to end back up in therapy because I never was happy. And that method got me into a managing my depression, not overcoming it. And it got to the point where I was standing in my office, looking out over the beautiful bay, Bay Bridge as the fog moved in. And I realized I had climbed the wrong mountain, that I was living a life that everyone else thought was best for me and not what I wanted to do and what I was passionate about. And I was standing there looking out as this corporate American executive, full of fear, overwhelm, wondering how the hell I was going to change my life because the momentum behind what it took me to get there was so big that I couldn't imagine how I was going to change that dynamic. And I felt alone, depressed, and kind of hopeless. But I also knew at that moment that I had to change because what I was doing wasn't working. And I needed to take and give myself the permission to help myself for a change, to take my healing into my own hands and start the journey of self-discovery and living the life that I came here to live, because the one that I was living was somebody else's. From the outside, it looked perfect. I was making multiple six figures. I was in a great relationship. I had tickets to the San Francisco Opera. Everything was beautiful. So why was I still so depressed? But everything changed. Once I gave myself permission, I started that journey. It took me decades to get where I was finally healed because I was doing it all on my own. I would seek out therapists or counselors that knew hypnosis, but I always wanted to do age regression. I always wanted to go back pre-sexual assault, but nobody could take me there. Nobody knew how. It was very specialized, and I was always unsatisfied. And over the course of years, I figured out all the subconscious reprogramming, all that kind of stuff. But it wasn't until I really dug into hypnosis, like seriously, that I began to get the results that were so dynamic and gave me the ability to switch, heal, let go, move past it all, and step into my higher purpose and know what it is that I came here to do. And I really know the combination of everything that comes together to make that happen. And that's what I have in my programs and stuff. But hypnosis is such a vital aspect to that.
You mentioned a couple of great things just to kind of pop in here for a moment. One of the first things you mentioned is like, what did I do to, like, did I give the wrong signals? Did someone think I meant something I didn't? And I've had people tell me, well, nobody ever asked for this. It's like, I would never say anyone ever asked for something like this because it's not you. It's the person who did it. But I have done enough of this work. I never intentionally take someone back into a trauma. And I've worked with a lot of women who have trauma. I mean, the fact is, 1 out of every 4 girls and 1 out of every 6 boys. Just go look at your Facebook friends list, do the math. 1 out of 4 women and 1 out of 6 boys has been inappropriately touched or exploited in some way. And what will come out when we do the forgiveness work is they have this anger. And when they're in the subconscious state, consciously, analytically, we know we didn't ask for it. But for a percentage of those people, when they're going through that, they're angry. It's like, you even made me doubt. You made me wonder if I must have done something. Aside from the, you took my voice, you took my power, I no longer trusted myself, all of those things, that does come up. And you mentioned about not processing as an adult. The brain's not mature until we hit our 20s. And especially children, when people are even younger than 15 and this happens, there's no context to understand, to process that through that purpose. And I love that you sought out the hypnosis to go in, because consciously, analytically, you can know to the moon and back. But if you don't go at it from a belief level, it's just going to be there.
And here's the thing. So I never identified as a victim. Like by the time I was in my late 20s, I was no longer a victim. My logical brain was telling me, no, I have fought to get up to, corporate American executive. I am strong, independent, free thinking. I am a fighter. That was what my logical brain was telling myself. But what my subconscious was telling me is, you're a victim. You can't be trusted. You're not smart enough. You're not intelligent enough. All these things that wanted to keep me playing small and keep me hidden. And I didn't allow myself to feel vulnerable. I didn't put myself into positions where I might get questioned or made uncomfortable. But all my life, all my adult life until I healed, I was changing cities. If I can just find the right city, then I'll be happy. If I just can find the right relationship or the right job within my career, if I can just do these things, then I can find joy. But all the while, my subconscious was keeping me from finding joy because it was trying to keep me safe. And every time I would get uncomfortable, it would go, no, 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 no. Come back here where you're most comfortable. And this is something really groundbreaking that happened to me just within this past year, Penny. I was doing an interview and I realized for the first time that I was 15 and he was a 19-year-old. All this time, that 15-year-old's identity was that of an adult. And I had not recognized that I wasn't an adult when that happened. Because when we're 15, you think of it, we're like, yeah, I'm going to get my license. I'm like so cool. Everything, the world is my oyster. And I thought I was so strong and cool and but the reality was I wasn't. He was a predator and a pedophile, right? But I didn't identify of that a young adolescent girl. It was really eye-opening to me to go, wow, not only on top of that was I that young, how much that really influences the way you go, oh, that poor little 15-year-old Lynn Louise. She was so strong that even after that, she held on, her strength to move forward.
Yeah. And that's a really good example you bring up of getting an insight that can be powerful. For those of you who haven't worked with coaches or you haven't worked with a hypnotist, when you have an insight like that, you really need to unpack it and take a look at what it means for your healing journey. Just don't go, oh, wow, you know what? I was just a little girl, and then just trot off down the road to something else. No, sit with that. You know what? She was 15. She was strong. Look at what she endured, and how she overcame it as a 15-year-old. Now, I have to ask this question. Did you confide in anyone what had happened to you? Because this is a huge piece of it.
Yes, it is a very big piece. So the only person I confided in was my best friend. And she had her own stories because she had a crush on the man, the 19-year-old. So she didn't believe me. And then I just went into my little hole. And I didn't tell anyone until I was about 22 when I became suicidal. And that's when I was going through therapy and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hit it locked down. I denied it to myself. A lot of the times I just didn't want to admit it. And
so imagine a 15-year-old not being believed by her best friend.
Yeah.
And dealing with it all on your own.
So, the one thing to think about is we say 1 out of 5. Those are the people that reported. I wasn't counted. So the reality is those numbers are quite high. And when we look at our friends and look at ourselves, and our ability to process, it really is so incredibly powerful to think about how this brain works and how it can keep us safe, but how it can also hold us back.
Because it's protecting us. That's the thing. People get frustrated. They become angry because they can't control their eating. They become angry because they feel anxious, and that keeps them from going out into public or whatever the case may be. it feels like it's keeping you from getting into circumstances and situations that it perceives may be dangerous.
Oh, I can tell you my patterns of distraction were so deep in my life. I would be fine going into work on Thursday, and if I was triggered by noon, I was already subconsciously planning the night out with the girls. I was drinking regularly. I was emotional eating regularly. I was into pornography regularly. I was shopping to find satisfaction in Coach bags or whatever. Like, I was making multiple six figures and I was still living paycheck to paycheck because I was trying to fill those gaps, avoid feeling the awful feelings, and distracting by every distracting behavior. I was marathon running because if I was doing that, then I wasn't feeling my feelings. And running something I love and I still do now, but I do it because I love doing it, not because it was a distraction or a punishment. If I drank too much the night before, how much was I going to have to make up for it on the road tomorrow? Because I didn't love myself. I had disattached from my body. I was no longer part of it. And all I had to do was just avoid who I was, what I was doing to try and maintain life. I was
Now,
barely hanging on.
you mentioned earlier that you realized you had climbed the wrong mountain and you decided. If there is a woman out there who resonates with what it is that you're saying, and she's thinking to herself, but I can't, what would you say to her?
Oh, I see those women often because they're the ones I work with. It seems really impossible to change the momentum of the direction in which your life is going. But the crazy thing is, it just takes one decision. Everything in your life is a decision, right? And when you have the ability to make the decision and then take action on that decision, the momentum and direction of your life can change in an instant. It doesn't take decades to get out of corporate America, especially when you lock arms with a Cosmic Valkyrie or whoever resonates with you. That is what we're here for. That is what people like Penny and I are here for, so that you don't have to do it alone, and you can't do it alone. Eventually, I had to figure out that I needed mentors to really up my game and take me there. But it all starts with that decision. It takes guts, it takes courage, it takes vulnerability and transparency with yourself to make that decision. But once you do, the sky is the limit.
Yep.
You are a cosmic being and you are not limited by this three-dimensional reality or even your three-dimensional self. Once you unlock those possibilities, anything is possible.
Yeah. And you talk about the decision and the momentum. When you make the decision, you don't have to sit there and go, oh my God, how do I reach the end result? What is the first baby step? Because where momentum and motivation comes from is from those small individual wins. With each step that you take, you are building within yourself the momentum and the motivation. And just this morning, I was listening to one of our favorite mentors podcast on the way in, and the way that he describes it, he tells a story about a conversation he had with someone, asked him about going to play golf. And the guy goes, no, I have something I have to do in my business that day. And basically what he was getting back to is whatever it is that you're committed to, that's where you will spend your time. If you're committed to scrolling Facebook, you'll stay stuck on Facebook. If you are committed to connecting with someone who can help you past your trauma, you're going to take the step and look for the person that resonates with you. You're going to take the step to learn more about how you can heal from that trauma.
And I really think when you set the intention, when you make that decision, when you say, so I work with very cosmic people that, lean towards the woo, have set that aside to do practical, right? Mm-hmm. Because we've been living what other people say is good for us, but going back and like finding that they love crystals and all that stuff. when you set your intention and say, and this is what I had to do, it's time for me to be taught. It's time for me to be led. Please allow someone to appear. Somebody appeared in my Facebook feed the very next day. If you were one of those that said, I need to find the help that I need for this, and Penny or I appeared to you, that's a sign, right? But it's really important to know that in order for you to really get the momentum that you desire, you need to put skin in the game. You can't get this through free workshops. Podcasts are great, but true momentum and true transformation comes in the financial investment in yourself. And that may sound crazy to some, but it is absolutely necessary. And it took me probably about 5 years before I really understood that first $10,000 investment in myself was what was really going to get me the momentum that I needed, or that first 2,500.
And that's all subconscious. When you don't pay for something, your subconscious mind is going, it doesn't matter if you don't show up because you're not out anything.
Right?
You're not out anything.
And I don't value myself enough to invest in myself.
That's another one. Yes.
There's so many stories wrapped around what you can get for free that are only holding you back. And when you realize that money is energy and that it can come into your life just as easily as it can go out, you can create a life of abundance. It doesn't matter that $2,500, you're going to get back tenfold. When you start evolving and creating the life that you desire and deserve, when you're living from your values, like that's one thing that we talk about in the interview that you had with me.
Yeah. So we're going to have to wrap it up here just in a minute or two, but I would love for you to share with them how the hypnosis training actually impacted your life, because I taught you a mind, body, spirit. Self-hypnosis is a part of that. And then all of that, sudden one day you're showing up on my Facebook feed, lipstick on, makeup on, and just having a good old time. And just getting the training itself, it shifted things for you, did it not?
Huge shifts, huge shifts. So before I told you I would try hypnosis, nobody was delivering. It wasn't the type it was like direct suggestion. I'm not going to go into that. But when I decided to join your master certification, everything shifted. The power of my ability to create shifted. Like I said, I'm super cosmic. I tapped back into that, and my special power is multidimensional travels. And I've really been able to open that up through the training that you have given me. I've been able to really download lessons and help other people download lessons, I've been able to heal my body and my soul on a level that I never thought possible. And being able to do this and being able to show other people how to do it is transformative. I love the 7-path hypnosis, which you can do daily, the self-hypnosis. It helps me keep that cachet of negative thoughts, negative patterns out of my life, gives me the ability to stand in my creative power, but really opening up those channels to other dimensions has been able, I'm going woo.
Go woo, baby.
Has been able not only to show me, but help me show others that time is an illusion. Past lives are an illusion. That's like our self-construct is saying past lives. It's a lateral. It is multidimensional. Our ability to travel is here. I'm not special. It's just that I know how to take people on these journeys to download those lessons from other beings, from their soul, from the big I am source, whatever you want to call it, bring it back so that they can utilize and really open up their healing, knowing, and creative powers, because manifesting doesn't take days. It can take seconds, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Manifesting is a story for another day, but COVID kind of comes into that realm, and we'll just leave that at that. Maybe I'll do an episode on that. Tell people how they can find you, how they can work with you if they're interested in this multidimensional hypnosis or your other programs?
Yeah, so my multidimensional hypnosis is really deep diving, and there's some prep work that needs to be done if you are not to the level of consciousness for that to occur. So that's something that we really need to discuss through a breakthrough call and find out what's best for you. You can reach out to me on Facebook at Lynn Louise Larson. I love my profile's completely public to everyone. My website is thecosmicvalkyrie.com, and that's thecosmic, VALKYRE.com. I do have a freebie on there that's geared towards helping you overcome destructive behaviors in 3 easy steps, because I know when you're caught in that cycle, that's something that is really difficult to overcome. But you can reach out to me through my website, thecosmicvalkyrie@gmail.com.
Yes. So I want to thank you so much for being here with us today. And for those of you that perhaps this touched on something that you've been impacted by, or you have friends or family that has been impacted by, on my website, you can go to pennychason.com/abundance, and that will take you to a hypnosis download that you can purchase, and 100% of the net revenue of that product goes to Thorn. Thorn is an organization that goes to protect and prevent the sexual exploitation of children. They go onto the dark web. They assist law enforcement agencies. They have even assisted the federal government when they could not locate children who were being sexually exploited. So if you want to increase your abundance and your ability to attract money into your life and help a good cause, go to pennychason.com/abundance. Thank you, everyone, and I'll be back next week. Thanks for tuning in today. I would love it if you would head over to iTunes and leave a positive review about how this episode has helped you to improve your life. When you leave a positive review, it helps us to reach even more people, helping them to change their lives, and that positive energy and vibration of sharing comes back to you as we spread the message of how you can use the power of intention, creating stronger subconscious beliefs, and raising our vibration to create the life that we desire, the one that we're here to truly live so that we can fulfill our purpose in life. Once again, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.